Okay, April 7th, it's 1:30 Central, and here's your HAARP mid-morning update. Last night was a really remarkable thing to actually prove that the Gakona Alaska HAARP was reflecting off of a large chemtrail reflector here and heating the south central United States to stop the rain. And we can see now that it is actually continuing. We can see ELF wave formations, which have just appeared in the last hour. I've watched this all morning, and there was nothing until now. We do have ELF signs showing up. Here we have ELF. Heavy chemtrailing over this entire. This is chemtrails. So this is the reflector. So down here we have more ELF waves, and this is not snow on the ground. And let me let this run. I mean, there is some snow on the ground, but the herringbone pattern is not on the ground. It's moving. So if we look now farther south, we're going to see these ELF patterns continue all the way down here. Of course, it does get a little bit more smeared out. Here we have the lines forming again, like we saw last night in Idaho and Oregon. And let me show the chemtrails. It's a lot of chemtrailing going on right now. First I want to say, last night I predicted that this low pressure, they would squash it with HAARP, and they have left it completely alone. And this this is a sign that, number one, they're totally overwhelmed with the precipitation down in the growing regions of the U.S., trying to stomp that out. But also, as this increases in energy, that will consolidate the energy, and they don't have to stomp out a big area. They'll just stomp this out. So they're going to let this go, I don't know, maybe another full day, and then you will see it get crushed and become a bunch of disorganized clouds, and with the heavy chemtrailing. But for right now, what we see is, and they've been chemtrailing this all night long. These are chemtrails done at night. These have been done since daybreak. So it's very likely they are continuing to HAARP with Gakona HAARP into the south central United States. Okay, let's use some contrast. Okay, and we know they're very high up. Look at them, just absolutely. Almost looks like tree rings. They're so close together. So, all this toxic metal, bioavailable aluminum, and barium, which is worse than lead for toxicity, is going to be falling out of the sky, killing everything, particularly little critters that live in the water, trees, mountaintop trees especially, because they get. There was a study done recently. Some snowpack. I think it was Mount Shasta in California. It had 120,000 times more aluminum than is normal. Not percent, 120,000 times. In other words, this is killing trees, plants, everything. Okay, so basically they're using this as a HAARP reflector, but their primary concern is the rain potential in the growing regions. They do not want to see any crops being grown. And now here we can actually see some HAARP herringbones forming. So this is visible light, so it's not the greatest for. Aha! We do see a HAARP downburst here. You can actually see, let me stop this. You can actually see a circular arc here. Let me zoom in just a little. Okay, this is a circular arc. So they are actually using the Gakona HAARP to force descending air over Arkansas. Let's see what kind of rain Arkansas is getting. And we'll see it rapidly shut down. Okay, yeah, I mean, see, look here. There's, sorry, let's forget to unzoom. Here we see these yellow areas persisting, moving, hanging together pretty well. Here in Arkansas, it looks like a flower that you're running a hairdryer on. See, it's wilting. There's the yellow's disappearing. This rain is shutting down because of the descending air. Now, if we look at the water vapor map, we should see a dark area that's getting darker as time progresses. Let me zoom in on Arkansas. Well, it's not quite happening yet, but it will happen. The longer they keep the HAARP there. But with this much rain in the Corn Belt, they're going to move this beam. Once they kill the rain here, they will move it to Illinois, which is a big corn grower, Indiana, big soybean grower. Wherever it's raining, they are trying to prevent having enough subsoil moisture to grow a successful crop, you know. I mean, either they want it so bone dry that planters won't that they won't even plant, or so wet that the tractors can't get in the field. So either way, if they can just prevent the crop, that's what they want. And here we can see a HAARP herringbone right at the edge here. Stop this. Okay, here's a HAARP herringbone, and again, it's perpendicular to the active area, and so they heat the ionosphere over Arkansas. The ionosphere, and that's at like 8 megahertz. Then the ionosphere re-radiates at a much lower frequency, of like 10 to 20 kilohertz, and that's what we're seeing here. And obviously that is a huge amount of energy to actually affect the clouds that way. Unfortunately, we can't. The eastern map does not have the contrast tool, so we cannot tell if that's high up or near the surface. We can look at the jet stream map. Okay, here's a sea level. So here we've just got a little counterclockwise motion at the surface and and the jet stream, we have a powerful wind, very powerful, going this way, northeast. So how does that relate to this? You know, things like this herringbone, it's just, for meteorologists, it's like the mammatus clouds, the clouds that hang down and look like breasts. You know, it's a curiosity. No one's going to be able to document it and figure out what happened because it's there and then it's gone. Interesting thing here is, back up a little, we actually do see, some herringbone cloud here, and we see a lower frequency herringbone cloud here, but they're both oriented down towards the Arkansas area. So that billion watt energy is bleeding back off. Anyway, this is your HAARP update for April 7th, 1 p.m. or so. And also gruesome chemtrailing being done down in the Gulf of Mexico again. Just horrific pollution. You know, where's the EPA? This is deadly pollution. There's no regulation. But the majority of this stuff, when it's at right angles to the jet stream, this is all chemtrails. I mean, look at this. Oh my God. No wonder the coral reefs are dying and the pH is changing in the ocean. How much are we going to put up with this, guys? Look at this chemtrailing here. That means more drought and terrible heat for these vegetable growers. No avocados, folks. Get used to it. I'm over 10 minutes again, so I just cannot cover all this without going over the 10-minute mark. You know, one thing, my favorite is to look at the HAARP transmitter itself and see if we can actually see any sign of it transmitting. And generally it gets a lot of photoshopping to hide it, because this is a top secret facility. The Isla Guadalupe nuclear powered HAARP transmitter. Okay, what is wrong? Let me see over here. Okay, so they're not showing us anything there. And let me go back to gray and now zoom down here. And again, they're not showing us anything. And in long wave infrared, there's just a lot of chemtrails coming up here. You know, there's a lot of thought now about why buy organic vegetables when it's sprayed with barium and aluminum. And I agree with that. I think that if you have the ability, put out some plastic hoops and grow some vegetables under this plastic. And you can get shade cloth, like trampoline netting, that will also provide shade so your plants don't bake under that plastic. But you know, we have multiple threats now. The barium, the aluminum, radioactive materials from Fukushima, a lot of that still, and also from the WIP, Carlsbad, New Mexico plant. It's actually still leaking some highly toxic radionuclides. So, you know, if you have the ability to grow some vegetables under plastic or indoors, you can try that as well. And, you know, provide a little additional oxygen and purify the air in your household. So that's it for. I'm sure things will get gruesome again as the sun sets. It seems that all this activity has a peak right at sunset on the west coast. So, but I just wanted to show, you know, this. There is a HAARP pattern now. The same place where it was last night, and it was not here this morning. Was not here. They have just powered this thing back up again. And like I said, it's because of the ionosphere. The ionosphere is constantly changing with the falling and rising sun. And they have to work with that because that is the top of the waveguide. It bends this energy around. If you don't have the right ionospheric conditions, that billion watts of energy just zips off out into space, and it's wasted. You know, but frankly, we'd all rather have it be wasted than killing our planet the way they're doing now. Yeah, this is visible light, and this is I believe that's the HAARP outflow boundary that's actually showing up in visible light. That's not very common. It means that the hot and cold air layers are at a different altitude. Oh, I could actually see, is that hot or cold? Or these are, well, as the sun rises, the tint changes, but okay, they're blue, so they're very high. So these are, they're not chemtrails, because the chemtrails are moving the other way. I think that's the HAARP outflow boundary, the smoke ring that I was speaking of earlier. When the HAARP downburst occurs, it creates a cold, dry ring of toroidally spinning air that behaves as a smoke ring, persists for 12 hours easily. So I believe that is a direct evidence of HAARP downburst, again from the Gakona transmitter. But we are going to watch this low pressure here, and we're going to see it build over the next 24 hours, and then they will smash it. Just smash it right down, and you'll see that it's very noticeable when it happens. But right now they're preoccupied. Also, there may be a range requirement that if it's too close to the transmitter, it presents a difficulty. But honestly, that's a that's classified information I don't have. Alrighty, we'll check back later.